So we have our upstairs equipment room, which is full of sports equipment. Downstairs equipment room has the fitness equipment. So fitness equipment meaning mats, med balls, kettlebells, dumbbells, and we have resistant bands. So I probably have to go in there and grab one to show you what we do with those. We do have resistant bands available, step aerobics available, foam rollers available, and more equipment available in this room. As long as the class in there isn't using it and we need to borrow something, we can also use that. We have 16 basketballs. So if we have 20 people playing basketball, we might have a couple people using volleyballs. We have probably 40 volleyballs. We got tons of wiffle balls. We got tons of bean bags. We got scarves. We got soccer balls. We got tennis rackets. We got tennis nets. So I'm going to try to teach different sports each time we go through sports during that schedule period. And then during the fitness period, we'll go over strength and conditioning training, okay? So what we have in front of you is the HFE 415 lesson planning guide, and we're going to go over that today. So when you're teaching a lesson, you are all going to create one lesson on your own, and then you're going to group with somebody, and then you and that individual or group are going to teach the whole class. The first 6 weeks is set up to where I teach, and you can kind of follow my lead. I'm going to do 3 weeks sports, 3 weeks of fitness, okay? When you teach, you're either going to teach a sport or you're going to teach fitness, okay? And we have an order of the way we're going to go through those in the first 6 weeks. That way, when you teach, there is no lag time, or we don't have to worry about transition because we've already structured how we're going to go about our training. Okay? So, the first thing we want to do is warm up. So we go through motor or mobility, motor control, dynamic stretching or dynamic warm-up, and power exercises in that order. This will take about 20 minutes. Okay? You're going to spend probably about 5 minutes in each of those sections, leaving at least 5 minutes for power. Okay? You definitely want to have some time to relax and rest during power. And power exercises are usually 5 reps, usually, or 8 reps most. We don't really go, if we're going to do a vertical jump, 5 reps. Okay? If we're going to do a hop, 3 reps. We're going to do a horizontal jump forward, 3 to 5 reps. So the power exercises when it comes to jumping are low, 3 to 5 reps. When it comes to medicine ball throws, it's more along the lines of 8 to 10 reps, just so you know. Moving to warm-up A, mobility, we're going to go over each of these exercises today. I have it recorded, so you can take part in that if you'd want to, but I'm going to go ahead and go over all the wall stretches. So if you want, find a place next to any wall. It can be this wall or it can be this wall. We're going to first go over the wall calf stretch, okay? So the wall calf stretch is when you push into the wall and you have 1 foot forward, 1 foot back. You can also use a box, and you're stretching your calf muscle, which is your gastrocnemius, soleus, and Achilles tendon. So for your stretches, you're thinking 3 to 5 inhales and exhales per side. If it's just a one-sided stretch, or if you're going straight down the middle, then think 5 inhales, 5 exhales. So if you get 2 sides, it's 3 inhales, 3 exhales plus 2, which would be 6. You want to think inhale, 1, 2, 3. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think 3, 6 is probably the best for this population. Obviously, more advanced, you go 4, 8, and then 5, 10. You want the exhale to be a little bit longer than your inhale. You want deep diaphragmatic breathing when we're stretching. So we want to think inhale, belly, rib cage, low back. We want it to fill up like a 360-degree balloon. and then long exhale. So when you're telling them to stretch, 3 to 5 inhales and exhales per stretch. Okay. Ideally, you'd want to hold each stretch for 1 to 2 minutes, but we don't have that much time, and we can't spend all that time stretching. Okay. So 3 to 5 inhales per stretch. Now, the reason why I say inhales and exhales is because sometimes you'll have somebody hold a stretch. Say hold it for 30 seconds, and they forget to breathe. Or they're breathing really fast and they're not relaxed. So that diaphragmatic breathing is really aimed to get the student to relax. So we have our wall calf stretch. And I did some other walls just so we're at the wall. We don't have to go back and forth. Then we have our wall lat stretch. Shoulder flexion. Opposite foot forward. Arm up the wall, hand is flat. Hold each side, 3 inhales, 3 exhales. Okay? That's your lat stretch. Your pec stretch is more of a doorway stretch, but we don't have lots of pillars. Ideally, opposite foot forward, elbows at a 90-degree angle, and you're feeling it in your pecs and front delts. It's a little bit different than this one. This is more lats. Okay, that's more lats. This is more chest. Okay, we talked about the calf. You also have, yep. You'll choose. You're going to pick and choose. Remember, you only have 5 minutes per section, but I want to go over all of them now so that you can say, oh, maybe I'll do 1 lower body, 1 upper body. Maybe a little something more specific to your workout. If you're doing overhead pressing and pulling, I would expect to see a lat and pec stretch or a shoulder stretch. Okay, if you just do all lower body stretches and then you're having them push and pull, yep. We're going to work with 1 big group. So there'll be 10 total students we'll be working with. There's 10 of us. Each of you will be given a mentee. You'll be responsible for working with that mentee side by side, giving them encouragement. You're basically going to echo what I say during my instruction. When you teach, everyone else is going to do the same for you. So when you teach, you don't need your mentee here with you because you're going to have a group. So we're going to be divided into 4 groups. So let's just say your group is teaching. Your students will probably be working with the other groups that are out on the court, okay? All right. So good questions, good questions. If you have more questions, just keep asking them. The wall leg swing is going from abduction to flexion of the hip. You might not know it, but it's actually an ankle mobility drill as much as a hip opener. The ankle goes from inversion to eversion, and you're actually working a little bit of the ankle there on the ground. So you got our leg swings. This I wouldn't do for breaths. So anything that involves repetitions, I'd say 5 to 10 swings. Okay? No more than 10, but at least 5. So I point the toe up. Okay? That would be your leg swing. Again, if you don't feel comfortable teaching certain exercises, then we have enough, right? We have our wall leg swings. We have our butterfly stretch, which again, any stretch you can use the wall because it's going to help someone support themselves. So always remember that. If you see someone that looks uncomfortable and they're sitting like this, get them against the wall and they'll be fine. Okay? We have our butterfly stretch, which is bringing the bottoms of the feet together. I probably go 3 inhales, 3 exhales, and focus on driving those knees down. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. You have your number 4 stretch, which is basically Some say this looks like a 4, or you could just say half butterfly. 3 inhales here, 3 exhales. 3 inhales, 3 exhales. When we're performing this one, it's important not to just flex the spine and go like this. Actually try to have a neutral tilt in the pelvis and neutral spine as you lean forward. This is more of a passive stretch. This is more of a static stretch. It's a little bit different. You're going to get more bang for your buck with static stretching than passive stretching. So passive stretching is just relaxing and not feeling anything. It's just trying to find a position to compensate. Static stretching is when you hold that position. Okay? Straddle stretch, feet are out. Again, this might be hard for some people. Get a box or a wall. That's about 3 inhales, 3 exhales here. Cat-cow. Now this is for reps, so I would say 5 of these. So starting in cow, hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips, feet behind the knees. Round the back, tuck the chin, flex. And then arch the back, extend. Round the back, extend the back. And we go for 5 reps each. So making sure you get extension, flexion would be 1 rep. You could do inhale into extension, exhale into flexion if you want, or don't worry about the breathing for that part. Okay? Cross leg stretch. You're in the cross leg position now. You can basically just reach forward. You'll start feeling that in your hips. And you can advance that by stacking your foot on top of your knee like this, and you'll feel a stretch in your hips. So go ahead and try that if you want. You'll feel if the knee is up like this, then we know you got a tight hip. But if it can go down, that's good. Now, and then the more you put it on that knee, the harder it's going to be. Okay? So I just call that fire logs or cross leg stretch. You have, sorry, I skipped cross leg and went to cat-cow. So we went over cat-cow. Quad, neck rotation. So anytime you see quad, it stands for quadruped, which basically means hands and knees. Okay, so quad, neck rotation, and nod. So quad, neck, rotation, nod. Basically hands and knees rotate to one side, rotate to the other. And I'll probably go 3 reps each way here, and then 3 reps up and down. Looking all the way up, looking all the way down. Okay? So rotating to the side, up and down. That's your head nods and rotations. Notice that I'm not going really fast. It's a very controlled motion. You get in this quadruped position and you restrict other parts of your body from moving. So that's why we get here. And to make it even harder, we would go into this position. That way you can't cheat anywhere else. But, so adductor rock or hip rock would be next. Hip rock is basically going from a child pose position to a hands and knees position, but we're thinking about pelvic tilt. So anterior pelvic tilt, posterior pelvic tilt. So almost like I'm in cat, child pose, cat, but I actually keep my toes or ankles dorsiflexed. I just rock. It's just called a hip rock. So I'm getting a little bit of ankle, a little bit of knee, and I'm getting a little posterior pelvic tilt. Okay? That's my hip rock. The adductor rock, now this might be, I think our students will be able to do this, but basically the first thing we can do is just spread out the knees and point the toes, and then just kind of rock. This would be about 5 rocks. So this wouldn't be, you could do breathing here. You could say 3 exhales on the way back. Inhale forward, exhale back. Or you could say 5 rocks. Now this has 2 side components, so I would abduct one leg, rock back on my exhale, rock back. Okay? So I would do that on each side. So that would be the adductor rock. Now how can I do that or stretch that? You know, maybe without getting on the ground. It could look like this. Okay, that would be a supported version. I could also just go like this. Okay? Butterfly would also be an option. Half kneeling is just half kneeling position. Is actually a stretch. If you lean forward, you'll feel it in your back hip flexor. So I would go for 5 rocks here. Exhaling as I go forward. Same thing on the other side. Okay? That's my hip flexor stretch. Downward dog. Hands and knees. Hips up. Targets the calves. It's also shoulder stability exercise. But you're also putting your head below your heart, which can make some people dizzy. So we don't do a lot of inversions, but that is one inversion that we do that you just watch out. They might be a little dizzy on the way up. So for downward dog, I would say 3 inhales, 3 exhales here. If they can't hold it, I might go for 3 reps. Down and up, 1. Down and up, 2. Okay. Toes, so crab or yoga table. That's when I bring my hands behind me, bend my knees, extend my hips so that I'm making a straight line. I'm getting a shoulder stretch here, mostly. Basically all shoulders here. I am extending my glutes, so it is a core and glute activation exercise. And it's also activating my shoulders and stretching my shoulders because I'm in shoulder extension. Okay? Toe touch squat or just touching the toes. There's a couple ways you can do this. Feet on top of a pad or toes on the pad and then heels on the pad. Okay? Now one might be a little bit easier to do for somebody if you can't touch your toes. We might have them use this. Otherwise you can do toe touch. Just stand up. And then toe touch to squat. Is feet are about shoulder width distance. Squat down. Hands together. Hands on those feet. Stand up. Okay? V stance rotation. Feet are wide. Using a ball. If you have the mobility, getting the hands to the ground. And then holding here. Mostly a T-spine. I'm blocking my low spine by getting into this position. 3 inhales, 3 exhales each side. So this would be my V stance, T-spine rotation stretch. Quad rotation. So hands and knees is quad. Rotation. I'm going to put one hand behind the back, rotate in, rotate up and hold. I can also hold on to my armpit here, but that's a little bit harder to cue somebody to hold on to their armpit or hold on to their ribs. This would be a little bit more, I guess you compensate less with this. This you might compensate a little bit more here, but this would be your quad T-spine rotation. 3 inhales, 3 exhales each side. Okay, you can activate that and go 1, 2, 3, or you can hold for 3 inhales, 3 exhales. Seated T-spine. So you're in the seated position. T-spine, hands behind the head. You're going to rotate as much as you can to one side. Hold for a couple seconds. Back to center. Rotate, hold, back to center. I'll get 3 on each side. Lastly, Spider-Man stretch. Like your hip flexor stretch, but hands are down on the inside. and I'm rocking out. Now, some students might not have the mobility for that, so that's why we also have the hip flexor stretch. And if that doesn't work, we can just go into a standing posture like this for your hip flexor. So you have your half kneeling hip flexor stretch, Spider-Man, or standing, reaching up. You'll pick enough stretches that fit about 5 minutes. After that, you'll go into motor control. Motor control, think of it as an activation. We went from stretching muscles to now we're moving muscles. So we went from single joint stretching to single joint movement. Dynamic is multi-joint movement. So we're going from single joint stretch to single joint movement to multi-joint movement. Okay? So motor control, supine or wall scap slide. So now we're adding movement here. Bending the knees, tuck the pelvis, posterior pelvic tilt. Butt is slightly off the ground, putting some tension in the hamstrings. You don't want to be able to put the hand underneath the back. From here, I go into a W position with my elbows. Squeeze my fists. Take an inhale. And when I exhale, I'm going to blow all that air out and try to keep my ribs down as I reach overhead. If someone has poor shoulder mobility, you'll see their hands kind of tighten like this, or their hands can't even get on the ground. So this is good for scapular upward rotation or elevation. And then so we go inhale, exhale, with the back flat. A lot of times you'll see someone exhale and then their back will come off the ground. So as soon as that happens, you'd have them go back. So inhale, exhale. So that would be a scap slide to activate the post delts. Supine hip adduction. I'm not sure. Supine hip adduction. Should say supine hip flexion. I don't think, adduction. So you can use a ball for that. All I'm going to do is take it isometric, hold, 5, 4, 3, 2, and let go. And go, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now if everyone doesn't have a ball, everyone could definitely, we have enough of these for everybody. Put these in between the knees. Squeeze and hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. So that would be your supine hip adduction. Your two-leg hip lift. Two-leg hip lift. Squeeze the glutes. Hold. Come down. Up. Hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Down. Up. Hold. Squeeze the glutes. If you can, get those toes up. And then come down. Each rep is going to be a 5-second hold. Okay? Supine hip flexion. Basically, you're going to lay down with one knee bent 90 and the hip raised at 90. I'm going to go ahead and try this one. We're going to press into the knee as our knee presses into our hand. And we're going to hold that isometric for 5 seconds. You're going to try that on both legs. So go ahead and try that. So you're going to lay on your back. Back is flat. Try to push the knee into the hand, hand into the knee. And so what you're doing is you're activating your hip flexor. Hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and switch. So push into the knee and push the knee into the hand. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Okay? So you should have felt a little activation in that hip flexor. Supine, it means you're on your back for hip flexion. Prone means you're on your stomach. Okay? So prone is going to look more like this. I'm going to drag, hold, come back. Drag, hold, come back without moving anything else. I don't want this because, one, most students' wrists and upper body can't handle that. Two, I'm looking for control. That's why it's called motor control. I'm not looking for you to lose your balance. So I want to see, can they move their hip into flexion without compensating with the spine or any other movement? And I would go for 5 reps on each side there. Standing hip flexion. So we showed you how to do hip flexion on your back, on your stomach, and then standing. This I can just hold like that, or I can add a little external force like that. So my partner could try to push my knee down as I push up. So that's going to activate that hip flexor. Now, when I do that, I don't want to flex my spine. So again, motor control means that we're disassociating that hip from the spine. Because you'll notice that when people go like this, they'll flex their spine. Okay? So we want them to be able to flex their hip without moving their spine. Quadruped draw in. So hands and knees. Inhale, 360. And then long exhale out. Okay? Simple breathing exercise. Quadruped diagonal reach, hands and knees. Reach with opposites and hold for 5 seconds. That one I would complete probably 2 reps on each side because that's going to take a little bit of time. Okay, quadruped diagonal reach, so you're getting core activation, spine, shoulder, and glute activation here. You don't want the foot to go open, and we don't want our arm to drag down or move our spine. We want to see a straight line, not an overextended spine, but a neutral spine. Chin tucked. So we don't want our head like this, and we don't want our head like this. We want our chin tucked. Okay? When I'm giving you these cues when I teach, again, I expect you to echo them to your mentee. Okay? Because I'm not going to be able to go everywhere all at the same time. Okay? So quadruped draw in, we went over diagonal reach. Prone, Y, T, W, and L. So prone meaning stomach. All these movements coming from the shoulders. So Y, T, W, and then I think, L. This is supposed to be done on a, you can do it on a, actually I could do it here. If you have an exercise ball, you can do the L. The L is basically like this. Okay, so that one you might just do in a kneeling position, but you'll notice that things turn on a little bit more when you're on your stomach. So I have my Y, raise 3 reps maybe each side, T, W, okay, so about 3 reps each for those. You could also do A or locust pose, okay. Tall kneeling empty can, so that's just going from here to internal rotation. So we're going thumbs all the way up and out, external rotation to internal rotation, about 5 reps. Quad hip extension, so hands and knees, and then one at a time, you're looking to perform hip extension. I like to balance out the hips to see, can they go in the hands and knees position and hold it. That takes a lot of core rotary strength to be able to hold, and then can they just extend their hip without arching their back. Again, this would be about 3 reps each side, 3 to 5 reps. So that'd be your hip extension. You can also go like this to be a little bit easier than this. Okay? Valve slide series. That's basically, if I have like a jersey or penny, we have a lot of them, we can use them as like sliders. So I could go like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on one side, so it's a lateral slide, like I'm playing hockey. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or I can go back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that would be called the valve slide series. You can go out and you can go back. Okay? 5 reps on each. We have jerseys up there. That's what I would have them use for their feet. It's a little bit more of a challenge, but I think we'd be able to do that. Side step circuit. So having them think about putting weight in their hips as they go side to side. It would be nice if we all had bands to get these going, but we don't have enough for everybody, and they would, I'm not sure, be worth it to just get those for a group. But lateral series going side to side, focusing on your glutes. You have your plank, your quad or push tap. So what that is you're on your hands and knees. You touch your shoulder without rotating your spine. So go ahead and try this one. We'll go hands and knees. We'll do it on our hands and knees first. Knees are underneath your hips. Feet are underneath your shoulders. Try not to have a retracted scapula. Try to round out and tuck the pelvis in first. From here, when you touch your shoulder, I want you to feel that core turn on, and then go switch or alternate each. Now we'll get into the push-up position. Don't do it yet. But when you do it, I want you to notice yourself trying to rotate, and I want you to try to limit that from happening. And I only want you to get 2 on each side. So first is a perfect or a push-up position, and then you're going to tap the shoulder, and you're going to try not to rotate. And you try 2 on each side. If that's too much, go down to your knees. Try not to move those hips. Don't move those hips. See, everyone's moving those hips a little bit. It's really hard. Okay? So if you can come down. So if I go like this, I can do these all day. Okay? I have to really turn everything on in order to go into those plank taps. Leg lowers. If I have a towel, band, it might help. I might be able to just hold here. We want to see, can our mentees go 90 degrees here? Or does it look like this? Okay, so go ahead and go on your back. I want this bottom foot, toe up, toe up. Don't let these legs go out. And I want you to just look at both sides with your head down and back flat. Try to keep your back flat. Don't arch your back. I want you to look at both sides. Okay, looking for about 90 degrees. The opposite knee should almost be touching the ground. And your lower back should be flat. Now, if either comes off the ground, then you know that your hip is compensating. Okay? So go ahead and sit back up. So for the leg lowers, what I would instruct would be hold here without don't let that hip fly out. Back is flat, can't get my hands underneath. Exhale as hard as you can on the way down. Inhale back up. Exhale down. Notice I'm trying to get that knee to the ground there. Okay, without going like this, without my back going like that. So for the leg lowers, I'll do 3 on each side. Exhale on the way down. Inhale. Exhale. That's core control. Lots of core control and hip control. Okay? Plank. That's just going to get things firing. I would only go for about 10 seconds. You want to make it look like you're standing up, either with your knees down like this, or just a quick knees off the ground. Back is straight. Okay, I don't want to see this, and I don't want to see this. So it's just like right in the middle for our plank. If it doesn't look like that, have them go down their hands and knees. You can also do just a push-up plank hold. Plank holds, we don't need to go more than 10 seconds, okay? Or 3 inhales, 3 exhales on our first couple weeks, okay? Toe touch correctives I showed you. If you can't touch your toes, then trying things like putting your toes up a little or toes down. This would be a little bit more advanced. But if I can't touch my toes, I might first get my toes up and go for about 5 reps. Or I might just, if I don't have that, just a nice pull there, my hamstrings. Just a toe touch. Okay? Band pull aparts. So if I had a band, if we all had bands, underhand grip, pull apart, arms straight for post delts. I can also go across the body, over my right shoulder, diagonally. Okay? I would just do 5 on each side. Now I'm not sure if we're going to be getting the resistant bands out for everyone, but if we do, band pull aparts, across, and tees. Banded squat, that's another one we probably won't do, but that would be bands around the knees while you're squat so that you're forcing external rotation and getting those glute medials involved on your squat so that they don't cave in. When you have resistance, you're more likely to keep those knees out. Okay? For dynamic stretching, so after your mobility and motor control, you've stretched out a little. Yep. When you teach, you'll have a lesson plan. And on your lesson plan, you'll be able to pull from here. So you haven't seen the lesson plan template yet, but I will have a learning module in Canvas that describes you how to fill out a lesson plan before that's due. No, you won't have any lesson plans due. I believe if you have a syllabus on you, I might have one on me. I have it right here. So your first lesson plan is due, looks like on 2/20. Okay, so you have about a little less than a month. Yes. So after next week, and after we meet with our mentees on the 6th, that Sunday of next week, you'll have a reflection. The reflection will just be some questions on Canvas that you'll answer regarding class. So if you weren't here, you'll have to watch the video. If you were here and you were with your mentees, there'll be questions related to what you learned in lab and then also on your experience with your mentees. So for this class, you just have reflections and lesson plans. And you'll get to see me perform those lessons before you actually plan. And I will have a lesson plan module on Canvas for you. Okay? Good questions? So for your dynamic stretching or dynamic warm-up, now this is integrating, like I said, more than one joint or multi-joint exercises. These exercises are the exercises you see football players perform right before they get into sprinting or power movements, because this is the next thing up. So we always want to think in a progressive way of how to warm the body up and how to work out. I wouldn't want to just start with power exercises or conditioning or my training. I always want to make sure, how does everything feel first? So when we're stretching with our mentees, it's important. Hey, how does that feel? I don't really feel it. Oh, when I bring my arm overhead though, when we did that lat stretch, I couldn't get my arm overhead. So, well, maybe we shouldn't overhead press them that day. So in the beginning, these exercises are really a way to kind of clear or test or assess the individual before we perform. So for linear dynamic warm-up, so you have your knee to chest. So not chest to knee, knee to chest. So we already went over hip flexion, right? So we activated that hip. We stretched that hip first. We activated that hip. Now we're going to use that hip dynamically. Now I am using a little bit of passive means, but it is a full body exercise. So I'm pointing my toe, plantar flexion on the ground. What will I do for my dynamic warm-up is we'll probably get away from the mats. I'll probably have everyone line up on this white line facing this way. And I'll say, all right, we're going to do some knee to chest on the way down. And then you'll probably get maybe 2 or 4 on each side. Okay? So 2 to 4 on each side is probably good depending on the dynamic warm-up. For the knee pull, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4. See? Can take a little bit of time. You can also do those in place. You have your straight leg walk. Okay, kind of like, we're walking like a zombie. Or we're just trying to touch our toes. Getting a hamstring pull. Remember, how do we warm up the hamstrings? We stretch them. And we're doing some leg lowers. Now we're activating them, or now we're performing a dynamic stretch. March. March sets us up for the skip. Okay, if you can't skip, march. High knee run. Doesn't look like this. See this a lot, right? So high knee run is we're trying to look athletic. Okay, trying to get those knees and get those arms moving. Heel to butt. Inchworm. I might just do 3 inchworms. Hands down, walk out, walk my feet forward, stand up. Walk my hands out, walk the feet forward, stand up. Only about 3 of those. So picking about 3 reps or about 10 seconds there. We have our single leg reach split squat. Split squat is basically an extension of that half kneeling position. I like using a pad so I know where to tap and so I'm not slamming my knee into the ground. So up, elevator would be a cue. Think elevator, up and down, tap and go. Exhale on the way up. Split squat, 5 each side. If you feel like they're struggling, maybe 3 each side. If it doesn't look controlled, have them just hold lunge position for 5 seconds on each side. Okay? If that doesn't look good, let's just get them in the half kneeling position. Okay? Single leg reach. You can use a wall or some type of reference point to touch. Standing in front, balancing on my left, reaching and crossing with my right arm as I touch. Notice this back foot. I don't want my foot open toward the wall. I want to turn it down. That really emphasizes that lateral hamstring on this balanced leg. And then when I stand up, I'm going into hip extension on this left leg. Okay? So single leg reach, up. Control, touch, and up. You can use the wall. I could have an X mark here where you think would be a good place for them to touch, and back up. So that would be about 5 reps each side. Toe touch the squat we went over. Single leg reach we just went over. Lateral movement, so you have your lateral squat. Now, wide stance, reach. As you bend toward one leg, other leg is straight. Stand up. Sometimes weight in the hands helps counteract the balance. This could be too advanced for our mentees. Okay, just so you know. But this is a lateral plane dynamic movement. You have your karaoke, which might be a little advanced because there's more coordination. It's a cross behind, cross in front, with rotation at the T-spine. Okay? And hips are moving as well. You have your lateral crawl. Okay? I would say 5 seconds to the right, 5 seconds to the left. I probably wouldn't count reps here, just because there's a lot of tension here. Let's say, all right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, down, and then I would have them go the other way. Scissors. So 1 foot in front, find a line. 1 foot behind, switch. That would be our linear scissors. Lateral, moving sideways. Okay? You have your side step. It's just a side shuffle. Feet forward. You might see their foot go out. That's okay. But if we're looking to progress, we want those toes forward and we want to get as low as possible. Okay? So those are some dynamic movements. For power, how are we going to get, we have enough med balls to where we could have half the group do med ball slams and the other group could do like a horizontal jump, and then we could switch. So you can always put these power exercises into stations where you have mobility and motor control are going to be group exercises. Power is going to have to be in stations if you're using equipment like the med ball, because we probably don't want all of our students at the same time using the same wall at the same time. So maybe we could have 2 students here throwing the ball against the wall. Well, 2 students over here are doing maybe a vertical jump, and then the rest of the students are performing, could be some hopping or some bounding, which we'll go over. So your med ball slam, your first power exercise is feet are shoulder width or a little wider. So we don't want a narrow stance for med ball slams. Almost as wide as the mat. Okay, and it's just overhead slam. So that's just your med ball slam. Slams are going to be 5 to 10 reps, or 8 to 10 reps, sorry. Chest pass to wall. So I'll probably get some blue tape. I'll probably mark an X, and I'll ask them to just stand 5 feet away, push from the chest, and watch out for that bounce. So push, or more advanced, I'm not sure if our students are going to be able to catch it that quick, okay? That's why it might be a little bit, it might look like this. Okay, and you might have to be there. If they don't have good reaction time, you might have to help them out, okay? So you have our med ball, overhead slam, or chest pass. Side throw to wall. So okay, if we can't get that elbow like that, maybe it's just a push. Okay? More advanced, thinking about half kneeling. Okay? You have some step and throw, so step and chest pass. You can have them get back a little bit further at a cone. Tell them you want them to step and chest pass. Step and chest pass. You can also do a side shuffle. Throw. Okay? So for jumping, vertical jump, 3 to 5 reps. So any jumping or hopping, think 3 to 5 reps. Med ball, think 5 to 8 reps. Or 8 to 10 reps, sorry. So vertical jump, feet are about shoulder width distance. When I have somebody jump, I always say just jump up and down, and wherever you land is probably where you're most balanced. From here, shoot the arms down, reach up and jump. So that's your vertical jump. Squat jump, I'm going to emphasize a little bit more hip hinge as I jump up. So my vertical jump, I might bend and come up. My squat, I might go all the way down and all the way up. Squat jump, probably 3 reps. Vertical jump, 5 reps. So I wouldn't do as many squat jumps as I would vertical jumps because you're going to be squatting a little bit lower. Lateral bound, it's just stepping or jumping side to side. So option 1, I want to step and reach with the opposite. Step and reach with the opposite. My back foot can touch the ground. Option 2, getting that knee to come up. And then your third progression is to not land on the outside of that ankle because you can roll it. So it would be stable, nope, stable, a little better. I'll go 3 on each side, okay, for the lateral bounds. Horizontal jump, 2 feet jump, arm swing, nice soft landing in the way you started. 3 to 5, I go 3 to 5 horizontal jumps. Lateral jump, remember jump is on 2 feet, hopping is on 1. Lateral, find a line, jump over, land on 2 feet. Okay, that's a way we can move laterally. So you want to think, am I getting linear and lateral in my warm-up? I don't want to just be moving linearly. If we saw them twice a week, I might say do a linear warm-up on one day, lateral warm-up on the other, or linear focus, lateral focus. But since we only see them once a week, I want to see both. Linear hop, lateral hop, linear forward, hop, 3, 1, 2, 3. I don't need cones. I don't need anything for them to jump over and make it harder. So let's just hop, hop, hop. Okay, you might see this. Okay, you want to see momentum, if possible, from that swinging leg, and the opposite happening on the other side. It's a little tough. You have hop medial and lateral. So lateral hop, medial hop. You can either go medial, 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 then lateral, 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 or alternate. You only want to get about 3 reps of those per leg. So after you're done with power, and how I feel right now, I'm ready, I'm primed to play a sport, or I'm primed right now to work out. My heart rate is pretty high. My body temperature is warm. I've gone all through the prerequisites of training. I could have found some areas of tension that could change my program, but I feel pretty good. So after that 20 minutes, it might leak into 25. We're going to play a fun game. So that's kind of like, let's get through this. I know this might not be fun. Come on, we got something fun planned for you next. So that second thing we're going to perform, fun activity or game, go ahead and write dance on there as well. It's one thing I didn't write on there. Right, and then write down YMCA, Cupid Shuffle, Cha-Cha Slide, and Freeze Dance. So those will probably be the song choices that I will be teaching this semester when I teach, okay? So one, I like dances that they're used to or that they could be a part of at a wedding. You know, sometimes it's you feel more confident doing something that you're familiar with as opposed to learning a new dance. Any dance instructors in here? Anyone like dancing? Anyone like to teach dancing? So if you wanted to, Alicia, right? For number 2, you could do a 10-minute dance. And step 1, first step is just, maybe it's a karaoke to the left, karaoke to the right, clap. The second step might be like a shake and whatever, clap. The next thing might be a little twirl or whatever you want to do, clap. And then you build in a 4-part dance. Okay, it can be very, very easy. We don't have to make it hard, okay? So when you see me teach dance, you'll be like, okay, he makes it look easy. I might do that. I teach freeze dance, which is basically the student will come up in front of the class like I am now and do something corny like this, and then everyone else has to do that. So you all get to act corny with me next week, okay? And then while you're acting corny with me, I'll say freeze, and then you'll get stuck, and I'm going to look who is the best frozen dancer. And I'll be like, Garrett, come on up. Everyone will clap for Garrett. Garrett will come on up. And then Garrett will do one of his weird dances, okay? And we'll all follow him. All right? They love that because they get to choose how the class learns, and they get to feel like they're part of being a teacher. They get that responsibility. It's fun. That's a game you could do for 5 minutes, and then you could choose something else. Okay, I wouldn't do that for the full 10 minutes, but freeze dance is a good 5-minute game. The other activities, animals. So you could just say, all right, for this game, we're going to pretend that we are lions, and we're going to run down, and we're going to grab, let's just say it's some food, but it's in the form of tennis balls. So you go grab one, and you bring it back, but you have to run like a lion. Or maybe you're pretending that you're an elephant, or you're playing a game called ICIC. Now this is probably for middle school, elementary, so we probably don't have to do the animal game with them. But ICIC, I see a bear, and everyone acts like a bear. Say ICIC, I see a butterfly, and then everyone goes around the gym, acts like a butterfly. That might be more for my Saturday class, because we're working with high schoolers. They might not like that. So these fun activities are like narrative games. For example, gone fishing, hiking trip, beach day. You're pretending you're going through this process. So, all right, we're going to go fishing. Everyone sit down, get in your canoe. Let's go ahead and row our boat. All right, keep going, keep going. All right, go ahead and get your fishing pole out. We're going to go ahead and bring it back. Cast it out. Let's go ahead and reel it in. Oh, it's a big fish. Keep going. Reach, go ahead and pull, pull, pull. All right, what type of fish did you get? So that's what I mean by like a narrative game or activity. I haven't. Mm-hmm. Then you go. Okay. Yeah, so any game like that, tag game would be fine. Sharks and minnows I have in there. When we play a tag game, we'll probably use the noodles instead of our hands to tag. So then we take out the risk of people pushing each other over, and we limit that, contact, which we're trying to limit because of COVID. I have cooperative games in there, parachute games, relay stations. So we can set up relays. When we do relays or running or conditioning, we want to make sure that they're timing themselves and we're not racing each other. So I'd rather them find out what their time is and then have them race against their own time than have them try to compete against each other, because some people with autism might get offended or they might get frustrated if they lose, and we don't want to spark anything like that if we don't have to. Kickboxing. So I might say, all right, everyone stand up. You don't worry. We're going to do some kickboxing with that left foot forward, right foot back. Guard your face. Your left is your jab or your 1. Your cross is your 2. And we're just going to focus on 1-2s for 30 seconds. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the music on. All right, go ahead. 1-2. 1-2. 1-2. And I'm going to go around, give people, feedback. All right, now we're going to go 1-2-3. 1-2-3. 1-2-3. 4. So your 3 is your uppercut. Your 4 is your what is that one? Your hook. So you have your 1, 2, 3, 4. You can do 5 minutes of kickboxing where you're guiding them through kickboxing. You could play a game like Pirate Ship, which is basically like a Simon Says, like, all right, the captain's coming, and then everyone's like, all right, captain. All right, let's go ahead and dig for treasure. You're pretending that you're digging for treasure. So no sport games during that time. Just think of cooperative or games that we can play as a group. Red light, green light is one of those. But I tend to like red light, green light during the sport games because it gets them moving across the field. And then I have obstacle course. So you could set up an obstacle course where it doesn't take up so much space that we can't do our dynamic warm-up before the lesson. And you could have, one part of the obstacle course where they have to crawl, then they have to go through the hula hoops, then they have to go zigzag cones, then they have to take a scooter, and then they make it to the home base. Okay, so you could have an obstacle course. For strength training, I definitely won't be able to go over all those exercises, but I have different types. I have core, lower body, and upper body, and then I have a med ball specific. So I have exercises on the left that you can use with a med ball, and then I have the 3 categories of our exercises, which are core, lower body, and upper body. When we train and when we go into section 3, we're about 30 minutes into our lesson plan. At that time, we're either going to go into strength training or sports. So that's why I have 3A. Oh, sorry, I skipped sports skills. So 3A sports skills or 3B strength training. So if you're choosing a sport, you'll either teach softball, volleyball, gymnastics, dance, hockey, soccer, tennis, bocce, track, basketball, swimming, cornhole or can jam, or ultimate, lacrosse, any type of Winter Olympics or Summer Olympics events. Okay? When you teach sports skills, write these 3 things down. First is individual skill learning. Individual skill learning. 2 is partner skill learning. And then 3 is group skill learning. So it goes individual, partner, group. So when you're teaching a sports skill, the first 5 to 10 minutes should be individual skills. The next 5 to 10 minutes should be partner skills. And then the next 5 to 10 minutes should be a group game or a group activity using that sport. So for example, if I'm teaching soccer, first thing I might have them do is get a circle. Everyone has the ball in between their legs. Good, everyone's done that. First exercise, first skill we're gonna learn is the toe tap. Stand behind the ball, tap the ball with the bottom of your foot, try to raise the opposite arm, or you can have your hands on your hips if you don't want to worry about coordination. And we're gonna go for either, let's say, I don't like reps, I'll probably go more for time, because not everyone's gonna be able to get the same amount of reps. So I'm gonna go, all right, let's go for 10 seconds, ready, go, 2. I want you to count how many reps you can get in those 10 seconds. Your partner can write them down and stop. All right, how many did you get in 10 seconds? 15? 20? 20, all right, we gotta beat 25, all right? So here we go, get behind your ball, ready, set, go. Go a little faster. So that's how you kind of motivate them by one, saying, we're gonna do this for 10 seconds, the same here reps you can get. All right, I want you to beat your last score. Let's try to match that 25, all right? So using that clock during skills. So I did my toe tap for soccer. I did my TikToks. How many times can I touch the ball with the inside of my feet in 10 seconds? Okay? TikTok. Okay? Now, I just want you to dribble in space. You've got this whole space in these cones. Maybe I'll have the cones on the teal line so that they know where to stay in. So I want you to stay inside the cones and just dribble in place. Or dribble around. Don't touch anybody. That's your goal. Okay? When I say Mexico, you're going to stop and trap the ball. When I say USA, you're going to dribble. Mexico, USA. Now, when I say Argentina, you're going to tick-tock while you're dribbling as fast as you can. So USA, dribble normally. Mexico, USA, Argentina. Okay, and then I can add in any skill, any country, and I can put in as many skills as I want. I can do that with basketball. All right, when I say USA, I want you to dribble in space. Dribble, 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 dribble. When I say Canada, I want you to stop and pivot. When I say, or I could use teams in the NBA. I could say, if I say the Lakers, you have to go around the waist. If I say the Blazers, you have to go around the knees. If I say the Bulls, you have to do a figure 8. Okay? If I say the Knicks, you got to go dribble around. Hockey, same thing, right? Just puck control. Let's just do some scissors puck control. How many times can you touch the puck in 10 seconds by going over it? Let's go ahead and move through some space. Stop, go. Partner activities. So you've done some individual activities. Once you're done with that, you'll do some either passing with a partner. If it's soccer, it's just pass and trap. If it's basketball, bounce, pass, and catch. If it's baseball or softball, it's just throwing and catching. If it's volleyball, it's one person tosses, the other one bumps. Okay? So you're doing something that you and a partner can do. You might have 2 cones or a couple lines where you pass the ball back and forth all the way down to the other side and then break apart and then come back. Okay? For a group game, that could be something like red light, green light, where everyone performs the game together. That could be something, for example, soccer. We could have 2 games going on. We could have one field on this side of the court, one field on that side. We could have, like, if there's 10 people, we could have maybe 2-on-2 with some mentors, so maybe like a 4-on-4 on each side of the court. Okay, with whoever's instructing, trying to officiate. Mentors, you're trying to officiate too. So you'll be officials when we play the actual games. If we're doing basketball, probably have to bring those nets down. Soccer and basketball are going to be the 2 easiest sports to teach in this environment, something like football, volleyball, is a little bit harder because the fact that we're not going to do tackling, obviously, and anytime you do flag tags or football, the actual game, it gets really dangerous. So I might shy away from actual football games, actual like baseball games. If you are going to teach baseball or softball, we do play a game called catchers, or we hit batters and fielders. So on one side of the court, let's say in between those two cones, I have four or five tees set up all along that line. You have 5 people. When I say go, all 5 hit the ball in the outfield, and the outfielders try to get the ball and take it to home plate. So that's called batters and fielders. For soccer, you could do red light, green light. You could do 3-on-3 game. Basketball, you could have a 3-on-3 game. You could do keep away. You could do basketball drills. If you're a coach and you know how to teach defense and offense, that would be another group activity, showing people where they need to be on a field. So instead of just going into a game, putting people on the field where they go, and then going over the actions of the game. So you don't actually have to play the game. You can describe how the game is played to them so that they have a better understanding. Okay? So sports, remember, individual skills, partner skills, and then group skills. So whether you're doing sports or fitness, you'll have 20 to 25 minutes. So I would do probably go 5-5-10. 5-minute individual skills, 5-minute partner skills, and then maybe 10 minutes of game, but having about 3 minutes of that game where you're having to teach what to do, or maybe even set up. Okay, so just remember that things will go by fast here. If you're not teaching sports skills, go ahead and look at 3B or strength training. What I want you to know for strength training is 3 to 4 stations, 2 to 3 exercises per station. Okay? 3 to 4 stations, 2 to 3 exercises per station. So, let's just say I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm probably always going to use that 1, 2, 3, 4 reference, just so y'all know. I've been in here for 10 years, so I've always used this corner as 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let's just say at 1, the exercise is push-up for my upper body. If they can't do a push-up, what are some easier options? So hands and knees, okay? The first push-up form would just be partner resistance. Second would be your wall push-up. Third would be a hands elevated push-up. Okay, if that's too low, you can bring this up higher and put it against the wall. And then for your progress push-up, it might just be about 5 reps, because they're actually a lot harder than you may think, especially for high school students. So I might have them just hold push-up position for 10 seconds or 5 seconds, or we might try to go for the push-up, but honestly, to get a full functional push-up in the high school level and for a population that hasn't had any fitness might be pretty tough. So I would hate to say, all right, everyone do push-ups, have everybody fail. So I would probably just say push-up, hold, exercise 1, exercise 2, since is going to be lower body. Maybe that's just a goblet squat. Maybe that's with the med ball. Okay. Exercise 3 is going to be core. So maybe that's a diagonal reach. 5 on each side. Maybe that is a straight leg sit-up. Or maybe that's a quarter get-up. Quarter get-up, 3 each side. Straight leg sit-up, probably 5 to 8. Slow on the way down. Okay? Let's just say that's at station 1. Station 2, let's say I got some resistant bands over there. So maybe I have one student doing a row. Half kneeling row for upper body. For lower body, I have them doing a bilateral hip lift or a single leg hip hold. And whenever we're doing a bridge hold, you want to hold for at least 5 seconds. These we want to get about 8 reps. Okay? Exercises in strength, you want to think 8 to 10, about 5 to 10 reps in that range. Okay? If you're getting under 5, might not be worth it. So let's just say that's at station 2. We have the pull, we have the bilateral hip lift, and then maybe for core, it's just a bare plank hold. Okay? That would be station 2. Let's just say we're at station 3 now. Maybe our upper body exercise, maybe that is a bare plank because we are using upper body. Okay? Maybe it's a half kneeling dumbbell or kettlebell press. Okay? So I would start with kneeling, half kneeling, and then I would progress to standing. Okay, that's how I would progress for the one arm overhead. If you see this, that means they're putting all that weight in their back and it's too heavy. Or they don't have the shoulder mobility to go overhead. One way we can check for that is, can they touch their hands behind their back each side? And then for core, it could be a chop. So half kneeling, a lift. So I could go from here to here. And then switch, 5 on each side. I could also do a squat lift. Okay? With the bands, you can do anti-rotation hold. So let's just say I had a band connected to, let's say that pole right here, and I took the band from that pole and I stretched it out in front of me. My body wants to rotate this way. So when I go like this, and the band is going this way, that's working my core because I'm trying to hold this position. That's why they call it a Pallof press or anti-rotation hold. You're trying not to rotate. So that could be another core exercise. I have that under iso rotation hold. Dead bug, that's another core exercise. Knees at 90, hips at 90. You need a little coordination, so I might just have them reach and kick one leg at a time. 5 each side. Or I can involve contralateral. Okay? So that would be another core exercise. Everything that's highlighted are exercises we can do with our students. If it's not highlighted, it might be too advanced. Side plank, knees bent side plank is a lot easier than legs straight, so I would probably go knees bent with this population first. We have our goblet squat, which I showed you. You can do with a med ball, kettle, or dumbbell. You can also perform a sumo squat or deadlift, feet are wide, nice and low. That would be an exercise you could perform with a dumbbell, med ball, or kettle. So your sumo squat, goblet squat, split squat, with or without weight. Okay? I probably won't have them do alternating lunges backward or forward. It's a little advanced for our population. Farmer's walk or suitcase carry. So suitcase carry or one arm carry works your obliques and QL or your stabilizer muscles. So when you're carrying something, you could say from cone to cone, one of your exercises at one of your stations could be, I just want you to walk down and walk back without going like this and having a nice strong grip straight ahead. Okay? Or I could have two arms. Okay? So that could be considered a core exercise. Loaded carries. Standing lift. So this would be a standing lift. A chop. We probably won't be able to do any chops because you need a cable for chops. We probably won't be able to do cable chop. Single leg deadlift or single leg reach. That's this one. So you could use some of our, you'll notice that some of our motor control and dynamic warm-up exercises can be used in our strength training. So that single leg reach is a hip dominant leg exercise. Okay? You have your good mornings. So it could be a wide stance, good morning, where it's just a basic hip hinge. You can make it harder by teeing it out or making a Y. Okay, that would be hip hinge. You want to think if you have 4 exercises, you want 2 hip dominant and 2 knee dominant exercises. You want 2 push and 2 pull. And you want 2 exercises either in the quadruped or on your stomach, and then 2 core exercises on your back or standing up. So core exercises on your back like the dead bug, straight leg sit up, quarter get up. Standing core exercises would be your carries or your banded holds, your iso rotation holds. Okay? Supine press, that's an upper body exercise if we wanted to get dumbbells out and challenge their pressing ability, just like this. During power, you can do the vertical chest pass. You, the partner, would have to catch it. So you would be standing behind me, and then you'd catch it, and then hand the ball to me. So that could be a power exercise. And with the dumbbells, like I said, you could do, probably not the kettles, but the dumbbells, you can do a floor press. Okay? You can also do the one-arm row for upper body pull. Remember, you want 2 upper body pushes and 2 upper body pulls, 2 knee dominant, 2 hip dominant. Okay? 2 exercises on the ground, 2 standing exercises. So for your row, horizontal row, either dumbbell or kettle, feet are wide, arm is one arm length away from the box, and pull. So if you're planning a one-arm row, I'd want a box at that station, okay? Because sometimes when you have people do this, they can't get in that right position. We can still do this. You just got to be a better instructor. When you have tools, they make the exercise a little bit easier to learn, okay? Just like when you give somebody a weight and you do a goblet squat, it's easier to go down. You actually feel like it's easier than without that weight, okay? So sometimes equipment's going to help. Pushing exercises, again, You can do a floor press. You can do a push-up hold. You can do a box push-up, which would probably be really good for this population. You can do a one-arm half kneeling press with a band, one side at a time, switch. For pulling, we do have a modified pull-up horizontal bar in that room if we want to pull that out. We can do one-arm band. We can also put the bands up high and do half kneeling pull down. So we could put the bands a little higher somehow so that they can do a pull down. And again, I would probably want to do one arm because the bands are light. If you do two arm, you're probably not going to get enough resistance. So that's why I do one arm pulls, half kneeling horizontal, half kneeling vertical pull. Okay? All right. Cool down mobility stretching number 4. You also have closure topics 4 and discussion topics 4. So the last thing we'll do will be the last 5 minutes of class, and you're going to close the activity with either some light stretching. So I have upper body, lower body, and core stretching that you can perform. I have some breathing exercises that you can perform, and then some closure topics. So you can talk about bone health, sleep quality, dental hygiene, something to kind of move into health or discuss something other than working out. So those are some closure topics. So when you're done with your workout, you can, talk to them a little bit about dental health. Talk to them about why it's important to eat fruits and vegetables. Why is it important to get good sleep? So while they're stretching out, in that 5 minutes, discuss maybe a health topic. And then closure and discussion, your last page, I have cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. And in your lesson plans, you'll be asked to show some type of assessment for learning. And you have 3 domains of learning, your cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. So if I ask you a question and you answer it, that's your cognitive domain, giving me that answer. If I ask you, or if I notice that you are really nice to others, you give everyone praise, and you're following all the directions, and you value physical activity, that would be an assessment for the affective domain. Any movement, all these skills here, this is the psychomotor domain. So in physical education, we're mainly 75% worried about their physical skills, but we also want to make sure that they're able to understand and remember the cues. Like, all right, when I get in that split squat, what's that cue for split squat? What did I say? It starts with an E. Up and down. Elevator. So I might say, all right, when we get into that split squat, what's one cue that helped you remember what to do? Elevator, okay? Or maybe what are the steps to a push-up plank? And you might have them go through those steps. And that would be a way to assess if they're able to understand what they're actually doing. And then affective, how do you assess for that? Sometimes that's just a teacher assessment where I'm assessing you and you might not even know it. Or I could give you a chart or a scale or a sheet, and it could give you a scale rating of how did you feel during today's workout? What physical activity did you find the most value in? Then it could say, who in class did you give some feedback to, or who gave you some feedback in class? So affective domain is examining social skills. Cognitive domain is looking at knowledge, acquisition. And psychomotor is, are they able to perform the movement the right way? So if I wanted to assess the squat, I might have a table that says knees, hips, shoulders, spine on one column, and then the next column might say notes, or it might say describe the action of each joint when the student performs the squat. Knees, look like the knees cave in. Look like the heels go off the ground. It looks like the spine moves forward. So how are you able to at least pick one or two skills that you can actually assess? Maybe it's just you're assessing throwing. And maybe you're having them get into their groups and have their partner assess their throwing ability. Are they stepping with the opposite? Are they making that L? Are they rotating? Are they following through? If they check all those boxes, then you can grade them on their criteria for throwing, okay? And so I'll try to put in some mini assessments there to give you some examples for lesson planning. And you'll see a good example of this in the next couple weeks, okay? That's all we're going to go over today. I know it was a lot, but we have a lot to go over because we really won't have any time to talk about this for the remainder of the semester. So I want to make sure I went over that. I have it all on video. So when you are lesson planning and you want to go through this list and you're like, I don't remember what the karaoke was, I don't remember what the Veil Slide series was, you'll want to know the cues that I give you from the video because you'll want to use those cues in your lesson plan. The lesson plan will have a description of the activity. You're going to tell me the cues and then any regressions or progressions of that exercise. You'll also have a diagram or picture of the activity. And then you'll do that for each section that you plan, okay? So I'll give you an example of that as well before you teach. And there's going to be a whole module on lesson planning. All right, so thank you for paying attention. Let's go ahead and put our mats and equipment back. And if you have any other questions, you can hang out and ask. Other than that, you are all dismissed, and we'll see you next week.